Good morning and happy Friday, and welcome to another mini episode of Money Matters with myself, Randy Mendez-Parra, with the Mendez Home Team at eXp Realty, and Sharon Thompson at Alameda Home Mortgage. Hello, Sharon.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fabulous. How about yourself?
I'm excited. It's a 3-day weekend and it's Valentine's.
Oh, I know. Are you going anywhere special this
We're
weekend?
going to the lake house. It's snowing, and this morning on my morning show, and we were talking about snow, and she was like, I just don't know how people do it. Like, how do you do it? Because there's already like 4 feet, maybe 5 feet of snow at the lake house. And I'm like, I don't. My husband does it all. So I'm so excited to sit by the fire and watch the snowfall and watch him cut wood. And, keeping a wood burning fireplace is a lot of work, just for the record.
I bet. I bet you don't do anything for it, though. He probably chops all the wood.
Well, I will tell you. So if you watch our stories, when we first got the lake house, he was out there with like an axe, and we have learned our way. We have some great neighbors that have taught us more. Like, it's funny because we live in a mountain here, and we have a wood burning fireplace here. But we're also in town, so we just order quarts of wood, and it's already chopped. And it's a little bit different in the mountains. And so they bring, huge rounds. And so when we were first out there, he's like out there with his axe. I think I had one story where somebody was like, he should probably put closed-toe shoes on when he's using that axe. But I love that the redneck in me has come out in him. So he's out there in like house slippers. But our neighbors let us try their log splitter, and it was like life-changing. So it was like a really fun thing that we do now, where all the boys like start an assembly line, and they get out there and like they get the rounds out of the truck, and then they give them to dad, and he puts them under the log splitter and splits them, and then he hands it to the other boys and they stack it. So we've got a pretty good reserve of wood going.
Good. Nice.
What about you? What are you doing?
We're just going to hang out, lay low, because the storm is rolling in pretty strong. And then we're going to head up to Kirkwood and go ski sometime this weekend, and probably Mount Rose a couple times. So just chill out and hang with the kids.
Love it. Love it.
Stay local, save some money.
Yeah, totally get it. I totally get it. And we're going to eat a lot, which I shouldn't be eating a lot, but it's kind of working out cool. Our kids are coming up in cycles. So Jordy and Juan and the kids are going to come Friday night. So we're going to do Valentine's dinner with them. Then baby guy and his girlfriend Lauren are coming Saturday night. We're going to do Valentine's dinner with them. And then hopefully Junior and his girlfriend will come on Sunday, and we'll do dinner with them. So it's like going to work out perfect.
When are you and Ramon doing dinner?
So funny fact, we struggle, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, we're 25, 26 years in. But like, it's weird without kids. Like we'll be at dinner and we're like, this is boring. Like, can you call the kids? Can you tell the kids to come? Like, we just love, I mean, we love our adult children and our grandkids, and we'd rather hang out with them than alone. I know that might be weird, but it's the truth.
I don't think so.
But we're going to leave at like 3:00 today. So that'll be our alone time. But anyhow, today we are talking about lessons from first-time home buyers, right?
Yes.
So I'm excited about this because I think, we had kind of a real, I think one of the things that we offer as professionals is experiences, right? So we do this at high volume. So we go through different things. And so I think an advantage that a lot of first-time buyers have is seasoned professionals, right? So that they can kind of walk them through. But here's the truth. Even ourselves, we're always learning. And when we were talking about like lessons from first-time buyers, I was just thinking, okay, what are like one or two things that we can really just share today that are super important? And I have to tell you that this one was a really big one, and it was actually a mutual client of ours. And so the point I really want to talk about, and we've talked about, it becomes more expensive. You can never really budget for home ownership. There's a lot of different points, but one of them I think is that knowing what is inspected in a home inspection. So for me, myself included, when I bought my house, I just did what I thought made sense. Like, okay, get this inspection, get this inspection, get this inspection. And I felt like getting those would cover me, right? Get this warranty, do this. And I felt like that was what was right. And it was a really, really hard lesson when I discovered all the things that the inspections missed. And so that kind of was my first experience of like, oh, well, I had no idea that they didn't that they wouldn't catch this. And then you and I had a mutual client who kind of right into home ownership, like their journey started quick. So their hot water heater went out and that was like the first curve. And they learned, that even when you have a home warranty, in some cases, there could be a larger deductible. And so we actually helped kind of offset that. And maybe 2 weeks later, their ceiling fell in.
Yeah.
And when the ceiling fell in, it was a shock for all of us. And the immediate reaction was the inspectors missed it. And even I was kind of taken aback, like how could this happen? Well, as we kind of worked through that, because we had open communication, all the professionals that were party to the transaction jumped in and started looking at this. And a huge learning lesson for me was making sure that we kind of help our buyers. And now I encourage my buyers to really talk to the inspectors, not about what they've inspected, but what they inspect. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because for me as a buyer, when you tell me my furnace is working and my my air conditioning is working, I kind of just assume it's working. And what we learned in this was they did test the systems that they were working, but they don't inspect the installation of the systems. And this was an in-attic unit that they didn't test how it was, they didn't check how it was installed. And there was just a small leak that over time, every time you ran it, was dripping. And then it was causing basically the ceiling to give, right? And so I just think that, when I'm thinking about those lessons after the fact, because we can talk about the things to know ahead of time all day long, but this is a big blind spot for people, is they get in the house and they assume that they have the inspections and they're not going to have surprises. And I think that the lesson is you're going to have surprises.
Yes.
Right?
That's home ownership. That is home ownership.
Yeah, without a doubt. What are your thoughts on like lessons after the fact?
So lessons after the fact, one thing that we talked about is, with this being Valentine's weekend, I'm going to take it up a notch as opposed to ceilings falling in and units breaking. And the one thing I think people don't realize when they buy a home, our first time home buyers, and I tell everybody this, I try to paint the picture for them, is there is nothing better in the world than sleeping under the roof and the four walls that you just purchased. And I think that one thing our homeowners don't always expect is how amazing that feeling is going to be. That I literally am looking up at the ceiling fan that I freaking own. Yes, it's probably dirty. Somebody didn't clean it, but I own it. It's mine. It's all mine. And I just talk about that love affair that people have with their homes. Like, you love your home. It is your place. It is your safe place. And I really don't think that people, first time home buyers, understand that overwhelming feeling. And sometimes they can get wrapped up into the little things like we've talked about, like, oh, I don't like this paint color. Oh, I don't like this. But there is nothing changing that feeling. And I tell everybody, I said, your first night in your home, there's boxes stacked all around you. There's no curtains on the windows. The sun is shining in at 6 a.m. And you barely had enough time to get a sheet on the bed to fall asleep. But it is the most incredible feeling knowing that you own it.
I love that. And this is why I'm excited to get to do this alongside you, because just different perspectives. We obviously pick a topic and then we kind of think about it on our own and then we meet up here to talk about it. And I think it's the Enneagram 6 in me, that worst case thinker, that, I think about like all the things you should know that could go wrong. And I love it because that is, your perspective is 100% legit. Like I think that without a doubt, unequivocally, there's just joy and comfort. And I think that what we've seen, especially in the last year, I cannot believe we've been amidst this pandemic for a year, but especially in the last year, we've seen the home become something completely different, right? And I this might sound a little, I don't know, egotistical, but I feel like everybody got to my level because my home was always that. I've shared my story, but, praise God, he is doing fantastic. But, I went through a really hard time with my son, and we were given some really scary, prognoses and diagnoses with him and my mom. And there was just this certain level of security about having the home that I shared with my family, regardless of what storm came, and not losing those memories and not, and so there was just there, I can't explain it to you, but home meant so much more to me during those seasons. And it still does. Like I'm still sacrificing efficiencies. Like, for instance, we run out of water regularly because our well has an issue. And so it's like this thing, and we try to time it, and we've learned for like the little noise. So when you hear the noise, like, you better rinse because you're about to run out of water. And sometimes you get water again in 10 minutes and sometimes it's 45 minutes, right? So like I deal with these little like very, inconvenient life things because of the vision of the home I'm creating and because the home means so much more and what I'm building means so much more than running water. So I feel though that like in the last year, the level and the passion and the security and just everything that homeownership has meant to me for a lifetime, I feel like we all feel that now at a higher level. Does that make sense? Not saying that people didn't before. I just feel like more people feel that now.
I mean, because we're stuck in our homes more. So more people are creating oases. Like you talk to landscapers, they're booked 6 months because people are turning their backyards into an oasis. People are making home offices. Like, yes, we're absolutely making this much more of an oasis because of the hours now spent at home.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think that that's a really good point and kind of speaking to that, like it's the vision. And I think that that's something else you should know. You really can bring those realistic expectations down. Like it's crazy to think that, I pay the mortgage amount that I pay and that I'm dealing with things like, I don't have heat in half of my house. I have a water issue, but again, it's about the vision, right? Like you said, people are creating the oasis. I think that you should really, a lesson to homeowners that, really good point is get excited about the vision and about what you can create. And obviously, we're not saying, you have to buy a house that doesn't have these things. But I think that the truth is that as things are tough right now, and as options are very limited, that you can really get behind, a dream and a vision. And it doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It can be, my home is not going to be everything I want it to be. I'm hopeful that it'll get there in the next year, closer. But it's probably going to take more like 5 to 10 years before I get it to everything I want. And so I think something that we would do is just encourage you to really get behind the vision, even if what you're walking into today is totally opposite of what you're envisioning, right? Does that make sense, Sharon?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and the truth is you're always going to be working on your house anyways. That's just the truth. Even Sharon bought a house with working water and power, and she's working on her house just as much as me.
every day I have a new project that we have to work on, and that is, but it's yours. Like we talked about, it's yours. It's your vision. It's how you want it to look, not somebody else's vision. So what is next on your agenda? Because the other thing I was going to talk about when we say surprises with home ownership, maybe the do's and don'ts, which is how many times have you had a buyer that is like, oh, we went out and we got new furniture, we got the washer and dryer. And as a lender, I'm like, no, did you put it on credit? What happened? Why did we buy stuff? I had a client that was like, we're going to go pick out paint colors this weekend. And I'm like, you're not allowed to pick out paint colors. Why? I go, you can't jinx it. Don't jinx anything. No paint colors till we close. So you sign, then you could go to Home Depot, but no paint colors this weekend. Do you do that with your clients?
Oh, I had a client. Oh my gosh. I had a client that insisted on buying a BMW. Like insisted, like it was the most awkward. And if you're watching, I still love you, but it was the most awkward situation. He like, not only was like, we were like, no, you can't do that. He was like, no, I have to buy this BMW. But then when he did, do you remember that? Like when we were having the conversation of like, you no longer qualify, he had like a breakdown, like very equivalent to like what my sons would have as teenage boys, like no, I'm not giving it up. I'm not giving, like, okay, well, you either unwind your Beamer deal or you unwind your house deal.
Right.
So tough lesson is, and this is kind of the truth, maybe you're going through a refi, maybe you're gearing up for a purchase. A tough lesson is that you're going to have to wait to get some of those things that you want. And really, you should probably be, on a whole nother note, on a financial note, you should be trickling those out and be responsible with those purchases anyway. But the truth is that a lot of times when we're excited and we're emotional about buying a house, we're getting excited about putting the hot tub in the backyard. We're getting excited about the furniture. We're getting excited about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And it is so imperative that you pace yourself. And I would say that a tough lesson for a lot of homeowners is that even when they get to that point of getting the keys, then they feel like it's a green light to splurge. And then they splurge and they buy everything they want. And now they're in the house and they have incidentals that happen that they didn't budget for. And I will tell you that another tough lesson that a lot of home buyers learn is even the things you thought you wanted, you don't want. So I can't tell you how many times people are like, nope, this is exactly what I wanted. This is it. And they close on that house. And I'm hearing from them 6 months later and the house doesn't fit their needs. I had a client, this is another really good one. I had a client, they had a nice little single family house in Sparks. And they were like, you know what, we're getting older. We just really don't want to deal with yard work. This house would need way too much of a remodel. So we really want to go into something new, something with no outside maintenance. And so we did it. We put their house on the market. We sold their house. They bought their new house and they absolutely hated it. They hated it. They thought they were going to love the amenities. They didn't like they liked the amenities. They hated the regulations around the amenities. They hated having upstairs neighbors. They hated having a gated community. And so we literally 3 months after we're sitting in the situation of how do we sell this house and get you into another house. And you ended up helping me out on their next purchase. But point being is that be careful. It's not once you've got the keys, it's not the green. Is that Dave? Hey! Once you get those keys, it is not the green light to splurge. It is not the green light to get everything your heart desires. And pace yourself, be responsible, build that reserve, and realize that you might want to turn around and move again in 6 months or a year. And if you want to, you need to be sitting in a good financial position to do that. And so I think that is another really big lesson, because in that case, it took all of us pulling in, and it took me, and I was honored to do it, thankful to do it, and happy to do it. But it took me essentially facilitating one of the transactions for almost nothing for us to be able to pull it off, because there was unexpected cost associated with that. So again, I just want to encourage you, keep your credit in line, keep your budget in line, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to start, your first home is the home where you learn what you really want.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Isn't that
First
true?
time. That is so true. First time home buyer. You just get in and then you decide everything that you want and more. And we deliver and we'll get you there and I tell people, I'm like, it's just about owning a home. Once you get there, then we can move into the dream home.
Exactly. And I love this. Teresita said it's taken us 7 years to be able to finally remodel our 1955 ranch style home with the original kitchen. So I love that. And that's a perfect example, I think, of expectations too. I think a lot of times people buy houses and they think, okay, I'm going to be able to get this done right away. I mean, I'm 4 years in and a garage. Gosh, I'm really making myself sound like a winner up here. But we don't have a garage. And that was like on our initial to-do list. And I'm just, again, lessons from first time. I wasn't a first time buyer, but lessons from home buying. I had the money. And I was going to build the garage, and that's what it was going to go for. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do this little thing, and I'm going to do that little thing. And then all of a sudden, when it was time to break ground for that garage, I didn't have that money because I just did a bunch of little other projects. So again, just be, what we're encouraging you to do is continue to be financially smart, be strategic, be aware, and hopefully that empowers you today and just kind of helps you to know that, we all have hindsight is 20/20, and we all have ahas after the purchase. So, hey, Dave.
Oh, she's saying hi.
He was done waiting. He was like, I need whatever's in here. I'm done waiting. So on that note, guys, Sharon, do you have anything else today?
The last thing I'll say, since it's Valentine's Day weekend, is I think that you and I can both agree that, we talked about the feeling that new home buyers get. We talked about the bad, the good. At the end of the day, I know that you and I both have no better feeling than when we get to show up and give keys to brand new first-time home buyers. Like literally tears welling up in my eyes thinking about all of our clients that you shot the cannons off for, we threw the confetti, and it is probably, they are tougher clients because they're new. They don't always understand the process, but they are by far my favorite clients. I love first-time home buyers. So that's how I'm going to end today.
I love that. And that's a perfect note to end on. I have a coach that is always on me about price point. Randy, you can make more money if you bring your price point up. And don't get me wrong, I love you guys in the higher price point. I love the move up clients. I'm honored to serve you, but I agree 250%. There's nothing like the feeling of handing that keys over where somebody's like, is this really happening? Is this going to happen? Oh my gosh, you can't believe this happened. That was my story. And I can relate to it so much. by the skin of my teeth. By the skin of my teeth, I was creative and got into that first step of homeownership and got creative again to move my way up. And that is our heart and that is our passion, is to empower you through homeownership and to change the course of your family's generational wealth through real estate. So as always, hopefully you have great professionals out there, but if you don't for any reason, both myself and Sharon would be honored to get to be a resource to you and help you out in this process. As always, you can text me or call me. My number is 775-379-8344. And Sharon, yours is?
949-201-8940.
On that note, we love and appreciate you all. We hope you have a very, very blessed Valentine's, and we will see you guys again on next Friday for Money Matters.
Bye.
Bye, guys.